Mongolia yet, but we're waiting, and we hope that day comes soon. So let's get it going, and let's see what we got. We got Bethany on YouTube, and Bethany is somebody that she's always chiming in, and she always wants to know something very, very particular. And her question this week and today is, what is the biggest takeaway from week one? And for me, I think it was, after not seeing any of it in the preseason, the Texans have the ability to go downfield from time to time. Brandon Cooks was a monster on those 2 grabs that he had. Each of them, I mean, just high degree of difficulty. He came down with it, really attacked the ball, and it set the Texans up very nicely. You know, they scored on the next play on one, and they scored a couple plays after the other one. It was a really clutch catch each time. And then you mix in some Pharaoh Brown going down the field and moving the chains the way he did. And I think you can see the Texans kind of force defenses to play them more honestly than they were playing for much of the game. Because a lot of the game, Deepi, Mark Ingram and the running backs were running into 8-man fronts. And I don't know that that's going to be always sustainable for opposing defenses throughout the rest of the season. Perhaps. We'll see. It was the Jaguars, but still, they went deep. I like that. That was my takeaway. What was yours?
I've got one on offense and defense. I think on offense, I thought Tyrod Taylor did a great job in the pocket, his pocket presence. We'd been talking about it all throughout preseason and in training camp, his poise, how he's just really calm, cool, collected. And I feel like that really, we got to see that. Fans got to see that firsthand in Sunday's game. So I think just seeing Tyrod Taylor operating this offense the way we'd seen him do it in camp, it translated. He looked even better. He looked crisper. He looked sharper. He really has that chemistry down with his receivers. So I liked what I saw to Tyrod Taylor. And as far as the defense, I know we have been talking about the takeaway train with Lovie Smith and this entire preseason, and none of it matters. It doesn't matter that they got 10 takeaways in the preseason, but guess what? They're still going to get takeaways. They had 3 interceptions in week one, which ties the number of interceptions they had in 2020 altogether. So I think my 2 biggest takeaways, Tyrod Taylor is very smooth and a great leader of this offense. And this defense is going to get some takeaways this year. It's definitely an area that the Texans defense needed to improve in. And so far, they're definitely trending in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Jim wants to know who was the surprise player from Sunday. And I'm kind of hard pressed to answer that one because I don't know about you. I wasn't really surprised by any certain player or any guy. I was surprised that the Texans scored 37 points. I mean, you don't see them crack the 30-point barrier too much around here, and they did it and got it to 37. But surprise player, I mean, I didn't have one. I know that's a boring answer, Jim. Maybe Deepi, do you have an answer for that?
I'm going to go Justin Britt. I don't think he's a surprise, but I think that just his presence on the O-line, how much it's really meant to the team. I wrote a story about it up on HoustonTexans.com. He hadn't played since week 8 of the 2019 season. So, it was his first game back, and, he did a great job with the O-line. The O-line did a great job in just getting this offense moving, 450 yards of total offense. And, I loved the Wildcat play direct snap to Mark Ingram. I thought that was a big surprise. And I just thought, what a way to welcome Britt back to the game. He got to spike the ball in the end zone. Philip Lindsay handed him the ball afterwards. So, I know that we've heard some really great things about Justin Britt, especially from James Camp and the offensive line coach. He had said that, he thought he was one of the best centers in the game before his injury. But I thought just seeing him back out there on the field, how good he looked, his presence, he's a leader of that O-line. I thought it was nice to have him, and what an upgrade at the center position, how good that O-line looks. I'm going to go with Justin Britt.
That's a good one. I like it. I wonder what Daniel in Germany thinks of that. He's checking us out today. So Daniel, appreciate you doing that. It's probably nighttime almost. You're perhaps about to eat some dinner there in Germany. But thanks for checking us out. We got a question. We got a question about the Texans secondary and how we think they'll match up with the receivers and the tight ends and whatnot. That's coming from Fern on YouTube. And, Deepi, you had a little bit of breaking news, somewhat breaking news, right before we started this video. And that's that Odell Beckham Jr. will not be playing again this week. He won't suit up against the Texans. So Jarvis Landry was the guy who sort of led him. He and David Njoku, the tight end, in reception. So Texans are going to get tested. Landry's really good. They'll be tested. And Terrence Mitchell playing against his former team. I wonder how much juice or extra juice that is for him. You also have Eric Murray and safety in the secondary, so maybe he is a little more pumped up as well. They're former Cleveland Browns, so we'll see. We shall see about how they match up, but they'll definitely get tested. Las Vegas does not think much of this matchup. They have the Texans as 12-point underdogs, so Texans are looking to kind of change some perceptions, I think, and they want to pull out a win on the road in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence, there were a lot of high expectations for him being the number 1 overall pick, but it was his first game in the NFL. He was debuting, if you will, in the NFL, but Baker Mayfield is a totally different beast. I mean, he's got the experience. He just looks really crisp when he's out there, even against the Chiefs. I mean, they had that game in hand. So, he led 3 touchdown drives. He did throw an interception in that game. They like to run the ball. So, I mean, I think the secondary, I am concerned with how, they may match up against those Browns wide receivers with Baker Mayfield throwing them the ball. But, if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm looking more at the backs and running the game, just maybe because I'm relying on memory from last year. Do you remember how that game went? It was a low scoring game. It was 10-7, but it was Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So I think the focus, is definitely going to be there. But as far as the secondary, I think you're right. Terrence Mitchell, Money Mitch, heading back to Cleveland to face his former team. He's been doing great in camp. And Justin Reed had the pick in last week's game, as well as Brennan Hargrave. So I think that, if they can throw Baker off and get some of those takeaways or put some pressure, on those receivers and tie them up, it'll be a good game for them. So I'm looking forward to these matchups on Sunday.
I like the way you said that. You were relying on your memory from last year in Cleveland, and you said it so sweetly and you said it so nicely. I would say, if I were to have said it, I would have said I was scarred by those memories because of the way they ran the ball so late against the Texans, and just made you want to crawl up and cry in the fetal position. Not all of you, but just maybe it was me. But yeah, these guys can run the ball, and they're a legit offense. So you're right. It's a very good point. Yes, the secondary will be challenged, but really the front seven going to get their challenge as well going against this run game. Okay, we have one from Frank, and he has a good one. Are we going to mix up the running backs this week? That's a good question. A lot of people, justifiably so, were asking, hey, why is Scotty Phillips inactive? This guy was our best running back during the preseason. Maybe Scotty goes this Sunday in Cleveland, but I think the Texans were pretty pleased with what they saw against Jacksonville. Mark Ingram was the lead back, got a lot of carries, helped the Texans carry the ball 41 times. I mean, they're averaging just over 3 yards a carry. So that's not spectacular in itself. But the fact that you were able to run it 41 times, you're almost always going to win when that's the case. And they did. You were able to run it 41 times. You had to have a rookie quarterback on the other side of the field throw the ball darn near 50 times. That's usually a recipe for a W. It was Sunday. So I think the Texans want to keep that going. It's going to be tougher because you've got the likes of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney and a lot of guys who aren't as notably name-wise in between those two who can really do a lot of damage in the middle of that front. So they're going to get tested, like we talked about the secondary of the Texans getting tested. So the Texans running backs and offensive line, they got a big challenge ahead, Deepi.
Yeah, we talked about this on Texans All Access yesterday, Mark and myself. I was asking Mark Vandermeer what he thinks. I said, do you think we'll see a different mix of backs this Sunday, or do you think that you just stick with what works, after week 1? So we both sort of agreed that, if it's working for you, don't change it, just stick with the hot hand. And right now, this mix of backs seemed to do well in week 1 against Jacksonville. I don't know if Mark Ingram is going to get as many carries as he did in week 1, or maybe he will, but that was a little bit of a surprise. I thought that the carries would be more evenly distributed, but maybe they just really liked what they saw in Ingram. And every time he had the ball in his hands, the pile moved forward. There was a lot of forward progress. He was getting a lot of yards. So I think as long as that's working for you, you would not change it. And I do think we'll see Scotty Phillips in the lineup at some point this season. But, maybe for now, they really like what they see out of the 3 backs they have in the game. 4 backs, I should say. We don't want to exclude Rex Burkhead in there as well. Rex Burkhead, Phillip Lindsay, and David Johnson. So I think we may see the same backs. We just may see a different combination of carries, who gets more carries, who gets less carries, based on who is really effective in that ground game against that Browns front, because it's going to be a challenge on Sunday.
It sure will, and it was a lot of fun doing this Water Break Wednesday. We appreciate all those questions that came in from all over. We're going to do it again next week. Texans will be getting ready for the Carolina Panthers, so that's going to be a fun one. It'll be a day before it'll be like a Saturday water break, but it'll be on a Wednesday because it's game week and all that stuff. We'll explain a little bit
Saturday
further.
On a
if you're
Wednesday.
Scratching your head, we understand. But Deepi, good stuff as always, and thanks so much to the great Tyler Marcotte and Amanda Caffey for helping put this together and make it all happen behind the scenes. So make sure you check us out on HoustonTexans.com, the Houston Texans mobile app. Listen on Sports Radio 610, 6 to 7 every single night, really 6 to 8, on most nights of the week. It's going to be a fun season, and we're going to have you covered content-wise. And don't forget to watch us on the weekends, Saturday night after the game and the local news on ABC 13 KTRK. We got Texans Extra Points. I host that. We got Cecil Shorts, a notable Cleveland native. He's going to come on the show and talk with us. And then you've got Texans 360 right after, and that'll be a super show as well. So we'll see you all next time. Till then, go Texans.